ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सेदसादनम् ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः। शारदा शारदाम्बुज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषम् पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिम्। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। चतुर्वदनो ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अभाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। भाष्य पेज 43 सेकंड लेफ्ट। ब्रह्म जिज्ञासितव्यम् इति उक्तं किं लक्षणं पुनः तद् ब्रह्म इति अत आह भगवान् सूत्रकारः जन्माद्यस्य यतः जन्म उत्पत्ति उत्पत्तिः आदि अस्य इति तत्पुरुषसंविज्ञानो बहुव्रीहि जन्मस्थितिभङ्गसमासार्थः जन्मनश्च आदित्वं श्रुतिनिर्देशापेक्षं वस्तुवृत्तापेक्षं च श्रुतिनिर्देशः तावत् यतो वा इमानि भूतानि जायन्ते इति अस्मिन् वाक्ये जन्म स्थिति प्रलयानां क्रमदर्शनात् वस्तुवृत्तम् अपि जन्मना लब्धसत्ताकस्य धर्मिणः स्थितिप्रलयसम्भवात् अस्य इति प्रत्यक्षादि सन्निधापितस्य धर्मिणः इदमानिर्देशः षष्ठीजन्मादि धर्मसम्बन्धार्था यत इति कारणनिर्देशः अस्य जगतः नामरूपाभ्यां व्याकृतस्य अनेककर्तृ भोक्तृ संयुक्तस्य प्रतिनियत देशकाल निमित्त क्रियाफलाश्रयस्य मनसा अपि अचिन्त्यरचनारूपस्य जन्मस्थितिभङ्गयतः सर्वज्ञात सर्वशक्तेः कारणात् भवति तत् ब्रह्म इति वाक्यशेषः अन्येषामपि भावविकाराणां त्रिषु एवन्तर्भाव इति जन्म स्थिति नाशानाम् इह ग्रहणं यास्क परिपठितानां तु जायते अस्ति इत्यादीनां ग्रहणे तेषां जगतः स्थिति काले संभाव्यमानत्वात् मूल कारणात् उत्पत्ति स्थिति नाशा जगतः न गृहीताः स्युः इत्याशङ्क्येत तन्माशङ्कीति योत्पत्तिः ब्रह्मणः तत्रैव स्थितिः प्रलयश्च एव गृह्यन्ते न यथोक्त विशेषणस्य जगतः यथोक्त विशेषणम् ईश्वरम् मुक्त्वा अन्यतः प्रधानात् अचेतनात् अणुभ्यः अभावात् संसारिणः वा उत्पत्त्यादि संभावयितुं शक्यम् न च स्वभावतः विशिष्ट देश काल निमित्तानाम् इह उपादानात् एतद् एव अनुमानम् संसारी व्यतिरिक्त ईश्वर अस्तित्वादि साधनम् संसारी व्यतिरिक्त ईश्वर अस्तित्वादि साधनम् मन्यन्ते ईश्वरकारिणः Let us see it here. We had seen the first sutra and first sutra is called the Upodghat Sutra. Upodghat means it's the introductory sutra. It does not tell about Brahman. It gives the introduction or the Anubandha Chatushta. Like the Gita is there, first chapter is called Upodghat Adhyaya. The first chapter of Gita does not tell anything about the truth, any karma yoga, jnana yoga, etc. It does not tell. Real start of being a Bhagavad Gita is from the second chapter. Similarly, the second sutra which we have read called Janmadhyasya Yataha. This is the beginning of Shastram. This is the beginning of the real beginning of Brahma Sutra Shastram. And as you heard in the first sutram, what was the name of the first sutram? Jigyasa Adhikaran. So, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, it had only one sutra and one Adhikaran was there. I am repeating it. Brahma Sutra has 192 topics and those topics are called Adhikaran, and in one Adhikaran there can be one or many sutras. In this is called Janmadi Adhikaran. This sutra comes in Janmadi Adhikaran, and in this Adhikaran again only one sutra is there. Aphorism. So one sutra, what is that one sutra? Janmadhyasya Yataha. This is the only sutra in this Adhikaran. Like the first one has one sutra, this also has one sutra. It is called Janmadi Adhikaran. So what is the topic? So we'll see from three angles: general meaning of the sutra, Shabda Arth, and what else? The conclusion or the fruit of the whole discussion. So in this, what is the topic? What is the topic of this sutra, the topic of this sutra is Brahma Lakshanam. Brahma Lakshanam is the topic of the sutra. What is the definition of Brahma? Brahma Lakshana Sutra. Bole, why you are saying about the definition? So, if you want to tell, we are going to describe the Brahman later on. So, before description of Brahman, first thing we should know whether that the Brahman is existing or not. Supposing I say, please describe Mr. X. So, but I can't describe, I don't know him whether he is existing or not. Existence has to be proved before description. Well, I don't know this person. Which person you are calling of? Only Mr. X is there. Describe how tall he is, where he lives, what is his educational qualification, what he does. But I don't know whether this person is existing or not. I have not heard about. I don't know this person at all. I am totally don't know. And therefore, before describing the Brahman, before inquiring the Brahman, we have to do Brahma Siddhi. Siddhi means proving the existence of such a Brahman. Proving the existence of a Brahman is called the Siddhi of the Brahman. Once I know that person exists, then I can go into the details about his characteristics, his nature, his gunas. Then I can deliberate on that. But when I don't know him, whether he exists or not, then I can't do anything. Okay. So, first attempt is now to know the Brahman. Such a Brahman exists or not. And through which you prove the existence of something is called Lakshan and Pramana. Lakshan Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. Very famous line you have been hearing. See, Lakshan means what is the characteristics of that thing. Supposing you say, sugar is sweet. So this is the characteristic of a sugar. But this will not prove the sugar unless I also taste the sugar. So the Lakshan of the sugar is mentioned. But I have to also taste the sugar through the Praman called the tongue. Somebody said sugar is sweet. But I did not taste it. So still I won't be convinced that sugar is sweet. I will always have a speculation. I have heard that sugar is sweet. I don't know. I don't know. I have not directly seen that sugar is sweet. Okay. Supposing I say, that taking bath in the Ganges is a very divine experience. Ganges is the one which purifies. It is coming from Gomukh. Starting from Gomukh, it comes towards Gangotri. And from Gangotri, it goes towards Haridwar. And from Haridwar, it turns. So this is the Lakshan of Gangaji. I heard. But unless you go there, at least till Gangotri, or you go to Gomukh, very good. And then you take bath, then you will have clear knowledge without samshay. Then asandigdham, doubtless knowledge will be there. Then you can prove Gangaji. Yes, I think you are right. If you have only Praman, that yes, I can take bath, but Lakshan is not clear, then also you won't know. Supposing a child is there. So child doesn't know what is the meaning of moon in the sky. He sees everything, but he doesn't know that this is called moon. He has a lot of stars, he saw, small child. But he is not told that the most luminous object in the sky is called moon. He doesn't know that. So he is asked that, listen, moon is there. Go and see moon is there. So he will ask, what is moon? What is moon? So the mother told the most luminous object, which is very bright, and biggest, that is called moon. Okay, go and see. So he went out and saw. He said, yes, moon is there. I can see the moon. But so he had the Lakshan also. Lakshan is Bahiranga, outside. And Praman is Antaranga. So Lakshan is outside, Praman is inside. But supposing somebody is blind and he is knowing the Lakshan of the moon, that the moon, this is what luminous thing is called moon. But Praman is not there, eyes are not there. So he does not have moon siddhi. He cannot prove the moon. Moon may be there and he knows the Lakshan also. First case was that this boy was seeing the moon, but he didn't know the Lakshan of the moon. And second case is there where he knows what is the moon, but he does not have the Praman called the eyes to see the moon. Therefore, both the cases, they cannot prove the moon. So, prove the moon, you should have Lakshan also and Praman also. And therefore, famous line of Vedanta, you have heard many times, Lakshanam Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. Okay. So, Lakshanam Satya Sati Pramanam Vina Navastu Siddhi. Lakshanam Satya Sati. Even Lakshan is there, if Praman is not there, you cannot prove. And Pramanam Satya Sati. Vina Lakshanam Navastu Siddhi. So, Lakshan and Praman both are required for proving of the object. Supposing both are not there, if there is no Lakshan and no Praman, then you cannot, that the Vastu is totally asiddha. And therefore, to prove the Brahman, we need the Lakshan of the Brahman also and the Praman of the Brahman also. Lakshan of the Brahman is mentioned in the second sutra and Praman of the Brahman is mentioned in the third sutra. Okay. So, Brahma Lakshan is Janmadhyasya Yataha. And Brahma Praman is Shastriyonitvat. This is the point. Okay. So, what is the Praman? What is the Lakshan of Brahman? Lakshan of Brahman is that from which there is a birth of, I will say it, world has come. Janmadi asya yataha. From this Brahman, world, the birth of the world has come out. From which the world has come out, that is the Lakshan of Brahman. Okay. And what will be the Praman? Well, Praman is Shastriyonitva. Praman is the Shastra. Vedanta is the Praman of the Brahman. Now, before this entering into this area, yesterday we saw in the, what is it called? Bhashyagar, in the last section. He has raised one good point on page 39. So he has raised a point. See the second paragraph of page 39. Tat punar brahma prasiddham aprasiddham vasyat. Got it? Yadi prasiddham na jigyasitavyam. Yatha aprasiddham neva shakyam jigyasitam. Tell me, This Brahman is Gyat Brahma or Agyat Brahma? It is known or unknown. So you are doing Gyat Brahma Vichar or Agyat Brahma Vichar? Well, why you are saying like that? Well, if something is totally unknown, how can you inquire about that? If something is not known to anybody, how can you then, for something which is not known, you can't form any lakshana also. And therefore Brahma Vichar is also not possible. And if something is known, then why should you do Vichar if it is known? Yadi prasiddham na jigyasitavyam yatha aprasiddham naiva na shakyam jigyasitam. So what is the point? Now, here Bhagavan Bhashyakar, I will just read it for your sake. Uchyate Asti tavat brahma nitya shuddha buddha mukta swabhavam sarvagyam sarvashakti samanvitam brahma shabdasya hi vyutpadyamanasya nitya shuddhatvat nitya shuddhatvad artha pratiyante brahmate dhatur arthanugamat. Here Bhashyakar will say one point. What he will say? He said, in the Vedas, Brahma word has been used very frequently. I will show you what he says there. And Brahma word has, like as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is there. Tadeva Brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. So from the studies of the Vedanta, the word Brahm indicates that there is something called Brahman. Achha. And he says, Brahma Shabdasya hi vyutpadyamanasya asti tavat Brahma. See the word he says, asti tavat Brahma. First thing is there is something called Brahma. And Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhav is there. And so, and this Brahma, it is called big. Brahadhatu is there. Brahadhatu, see, he writes here, Brahmate dhatuho artha anugamat. See the last line of 40th page, second line. So, sarvasya atmatvacha brahmastitva prasiddhihi. Sarvo hi atma astitvam pratyeti naham asmiti. He said, first thing I'll tell you that Brahm is there. Well, how do you know? Well, Brahm is said, at least in the Vedas it is used the word. Well, achha. Well, why it is used the word? Why Brahman word is used? Brahm means to expand. So big word I have told many times, normally we use as adjective. Big word is used as adjective, like the big sun. Big sun. So big sun is in comparison to all the planets, sun is very big. But if we say big butterfly, so a sun and butterfly are not at comparison. So big butterfly can be this big butterfly. But there is no comparison of the bigness of the sun and the bigness of the butterfly. Very, very big mosquito is sitting here. So this big mosquito will be called very big mosquito. Supposing this big mosquito is there, so you have to be careful, it can bite you. This big mosquito. But very big sun and mosquito are not. So big is used as an adjective here. So dimension of bigness, so adjective of big is determined by the noun. Where adjective is determined by the noun. But when Upanishads talk of Brahman, when the adjective big, it is not as an adjective. So big, the verb big is used as a noun. I hope this is clear. So when it is used as a noun, it is not conditioned. This point is clear. When it is used as adjective, it is a conditioned bigness. But when it is used as a noun, it is unconditioned bigness. So Braha word means to expand or to big word is there. So when adjective is converted into noun, that it denotes the limitlessness of that adjective or objective noun. Another word is consciousness. When I say conscious body, so conscious is the adjective and body is the noun. Get this point? I say conscious body, a conscious mind. But when I say consciousness only, then this is not, then it is limitless consciousness. These are important points. When I say existent flower, so existent is adjective when you say existent person, existent house. But when you say existence, then this existence is not qualifying anything. It is limitless. When in any noun, you cannot put an adjective to qualify it, it becomes infinite. Like I say man word. So man will always be having with a condition. Tall man, short man, fair man, dark man. You can describe by some adjuncts. Or you say, this, what is it called? This prime minister, well, a good prime minister, efficient prime minister, bad prime minister. Young prime minister is there. Old prime minister is there. Smart prime minister is there. Everything in this world can be quantified by adjective. And that adjective can be used somewhere else also. Supposing I say big house, so it can be big person also. House need not be big. That adjective can be used at some other reference also. Okay. Big writer is a very big writer. He's a very big singer. He's a very big teacher. He's a very big businessman. You can use conscious word with the body also, with the mind also. Conscious mind, conscious body, conscious intellect, conscious butterfly, conscious tree. Tree is still alive. But when you cannot use firstly you converted the adjective into a noun, and that noun does not have an adjective, and it cannot be used anywhere else, then it is called limitless Brahman. And other than the Brahman, there is no other thing which does not have adjective. Moment you put adjective, it becomes finite. Okay. This is a interesting observation. Moment you put something cannot be adjectified, does not have an adjective. Because nature of adjective is the adjective can be used somewhere else also. That means apart from that thing, that other thing is also existing. When you say big tree is there is a big house, that means tree and house are different. And therefore I can use the adjective somewhere. Conscious body is there. So apart from body, mind is also there. Tree is also. But when you say consciousness, what is adjective? There is no adjective to consciousness. Adjective's word is to quantify it. Qualify and quantify. 50 people came there in feeding scheme. 170 people came now. We are nearing 200 people. You are quantifying it. You are quantifying it. When your adjective's work is to quantify and qualify. So there is nothing called, when you say pure consciousness, so pure and consciousness are not two. Pure is not the adjective of consciousness. It is consciousness is there. So when you use the word conscious body, it is an adjective. But when you say no, it is consciousness only, then it is not an adjective. It is limitless Brahman only. So this point keep in your mind. Just one point is there. I am describing because here he has said brahmater dhatoho arth anugamat. Well, by the word Brahman you are finding out there is something like that. See, Bhashyakar is right. Brahma shabdasya hi vyutpadmanasya nitya shuddhatvadadayah artaha pratiyante brahmate. So by the word Brahman you can make it out that there is something big existing there. Okay. And sarvasya atmatvacha. And it is the self of all. Cha means apart from this cause, one more cause is there. Sarvasya atmatvacha brahma astitva prasiddhi. How do you say that it is the Atma of all? How do you say? Because I always say Ahabasmi, I am existing. So scripture will say that Brahman is Atma. And because you cannot negate the existence of Atma, therefore you cannot negate the existence of Brahman. See here, first line of 41st page. Yadi hi na Atma astitva prasiddhi syat sarvo loko naham asmiti pratiyat. If Atma was not there, everybody will say I am not existing. Atma cha Brahma. Atma cha Brahma. Yadi tarhi loke brahmatmatvena prasiddham asti tatah gyatam ev iti ajigyasyatvam punarapannam. So nobody can say I am not Atma. I am existing. And the Upanishad is saying that Atma, that you are there, you are. So this you are what you are is Brahman. So Brahma Atma cha Brahma. So because you are existing, therefore Astitva of Brahman is also there, because Brahman is Atma. Brahmatma Ikya, both is there, Tattvamasi, etc. Aham Brahmasmi. So scripture says that Atma is Brahman. Because Atma, you cannot say Atma is not there. Therefore, you also cannot say that Brahman is also not there. You cannot negate the existence of the Atma. Therefore, you cannot negate the existence of the Brahman also. To negate, negator should be there. If you say, no, I have no Atma. So, who is saying that I have no Atma? Atma is there. Then only you can say Atma is not there. How can you say Atma is not there if you are there? How can you say that I am not there? So this line is very important. Please see. Sarvahi Atma Astitvam Prateti Na Naham Asmiti. Everybody says I am existing here. Because there is no doubt about Atma Astitva, and therefore there is no doubt about Brahma Astitva. I hope this is clear. Brahma Astitva is there. Well, please note, problem was, he raised a question, if Brahman is not there, then it should not be known. And if Brahman is there, then also there is no need to know, because I am already seeing it. So here, Urpaksha again comes. He says, Yadi tarhi loke brahmatmatvena prasiddham asti tato gyatamev. Then Atma, Brahman is Atma, it is not. Why should you, start new inquiry? Why trouble yourself? Eat, drink, and be healthy and go and relax. Why should you bother in Brahma Sutra class? Why should you come, get up early and all these things? Relax. Yadi tarhi, this is Purupaksh. Yadi tarhi loke brahmatmatvena prasiddham asti loke tata gyatamev iti ajigyasatvam punarapannam. So how can you say that Brahman is not known? If Brahman is already known, how can you know the Brahman, known Brahman, you are knowing the Brahman. What is the purpose? When I see you directly, so nobody need to tell. Well, I'm going to tell that this Brahman, this person is there. I am seeing with my eyes. You don't need not tell that. So please see now. So na, from na here, Bhashyakar is saying. So, so he's saying na. Bole why na? Shastra says Brahman is there and Brahman is Atma. But who is that Atma? Atma is not very well known because different darshan put different points about Atma. About the same Atma, Charvak will say that body is Atma. Basmi bhutasya dehasya punar agamanam kutaha. When the body is burned, how can it come back again? Yavat jivet, sukham jivet, radam katva, dugdam pibet, basmi bhutasya dehasya punar agamanam kutaha. Where is that consciousness? On his consciousness, you are all saying, I am telling you, when the matter meets, the meeting of the matter creates some light inside. So consciousness is a product of meeting of the matter. Consciousness is some kind of, something comes up when the matters meet. ये देखो ये चारवाक ने बोला. So consciousness has a beginning and consciousness has the end. This is called lauka iti kaha. So deha matram chaitanya vishishtam atma iti prakrita janaha lauka yati kaha pratipannaha. Charvak. So this is there. They say nothing is there. So consciousness is not there. And they give an example of pan. If you remember, I told you, he said redness of the pan is not in the pan leaf. It is not in the, what is it called, lime. It is not in the supadi. It is not in the katta. Only when these things mix up and you chew the tobacco, then the redness comes up. Similarly, when the five elements meet, the redness is the consciousness comes up, and of death, the person's consciousness is no more. Not that it has gone some other lok, all these, you are dhurt. So they use the word dhurt for dhurt means, wicked. They bole, you people, this Vedas were written by dhurt people. The wicked people wrote Vedas. There is nothing like consciousness. I am not going to explain everything. I have already explained. I am not going to tell what is their wrong point. Bauddha, now what is it called? Jain came. They are called Madhyamik, Madhyamvadi. They say as is the size of the body, so the Atma's size is of the body. So if the ant is there, Atma is small. And if elephant is there, Atma is heavy. And when you do tapasya, so the dirt of the Atma, the klesh of the Atma lessens, and Atma becomes lighter. It goes into Alokakash. It is called Pungal is there. ये देखो, ये आत्मा के बारे में ये बोले भाई उन्होंने. Then came Buddha. I'm just touching upon it. You should know all these things, because when you go into society, people do talk about it. I go in a lot of Jain houses, and they say, what is wrong? What is the difference between Hinduism and Jainism? What is the point here? If you don't know, then you cannot convince yourself. Yourself, not to him. You do not convince yourself. Then came Buddha. And you go to Thailand, Sri Lanka. These were fully Buddhist countries. So Buddhi, they say, Buddhi is Atma. Shanik Vigyanvad ke. So they said, as the firefly blows, similarly when vritti comes, then only you have the knowledge of Atma. When vritti is not there, Atma is not there. 4 schools were there, Vaibhashik, Sautrantik, Kshanik Vijnanvad and Shunyavad. Try to revise this. This is in Vedant, both Vedant Sar. In detail, we had seen these things also. Then came the Nyaya. Nyaya said, see, there are 9 elements and the Atma is Jad. There is Atma. Don't say Atma is not there. Atma is different than this. And Atma is one of the elements and it is Jad. Why you are saying it is Jad? Because in deep sleep, when Buddhi is not there, you don't experience Atma. So when the Buddhi and Atma both mix, then only consciousness is there. But everybody has Atma. And that Atma is Vibhu also. Vibhu means all pervading. But many. So there are many all pervading Atmas are there. Anek Vibhu Atmas. उसके बाद जब बोले आत्मा इज कर्ता और भोक्ता, बोले it is karta also and bhokta also. Then more refined form came of Sankhyas. Sankhya said, see, Atma is consciousness. Consciousness is not that it is coming from, Atma is not that consciousness is coming from somewhere else. If the Atma was inert, then who in the deep sleep, how will you have the experience that I slept well? I did not know anything, because not to know anything, you have to be there. And therefore, in the deep sleep, Atma was inert or consciousness. So, Atma cannot be inert. Atma has to be conscious. Otherwise, who will know? If you are saying Buddhi is, the consciousness comes by the sanyog, by the mixing of the Buddhi with the Atma and Buddhi mix, therefore there is a knowledge. Then there will be a big problem, because Buddhi has memory also. So all the memories you will know, Yukpat Gyan will be there. You will know everything all of a sudden. That is not possible also. And therefore Atma is not of the nature of inertness. On the other hand, they condense slowly, number of elements are becoming lesser. So they said only Prakriti and Purusha is there. So Purush is Chetan and Prakriti is Jad. So Purush is Bhokta, but not the Karta now. They changed it. So Purush is Bhokta. Bhokta means Purush is the enjoyer. Why you are saying enjoyer? Because Prakriti will work for whom? If Prakriti is working for the Bhokta Purush only. But Purush is Anek. It is Chetan but Vibhu, low, and Anek. Why did you say Anek? Because if you say one Purush is there, if one is liberated, all will be liberated. And therefore, let us put that Purush is Anek. Sankhya and Yoga both say like that. And therefore, Atma is Bhokta. And for this Atma, Bhokta Atma, this Prakriti is working. Purushaha Prakritistopi Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan. And this mixture of the Purush and Prakriti is called Bandhan. So in the Sankhya, Mukti is of the nature of detachment of the Purush with the Prakriti. So when the Purush realizes that I am different from the Prakriti and I don't need the Prakriti, this is called Mukti in Sankhya. Okay. Mukti is in Sankhya is this. So this was the point here. Now the Vedanta raised the question. We say, tell me one thing, I have a lot of problem. How can something be all pervading in many? Once you say all pervading is there, nirvisheshe bheda kuta. Only when you say two is there, so you have to say what is that which is not there, therefore you can say two. You can't say two, only both are same, something is in same desh, same kal, and it has, only Atma is nirvishesh or savishesh, nirvishesh. Only Atma is nirvishesh, it has no characteristic and quality, it is nirguna, how can be Anek? This point was there. Got my point. If it is nirvisheshe bhedah kuta, then how can you say there are many Atmas? How can you say that Atma is nirvishesh? Okay, I will say Atma is savishesh. No, if you are saying Atma is savishesh, it won't be consciousness. Then Chetan cannot be there. Moment you put visheshtha, it will become Jada. And to get out of the jadatva of the Atma, they said Atma is Chetan. So Chetan will be Nirvishesh. Because anything will be Shesh will become Drishya. It has to be in Deshkal. And therefore, till this point they went. Till Drishtadrish Vivek they did. Yoga and Sankhya are very parallel. Little difference is there. Then if the Chetan is Nirvishesh you are talking, then you cannot say Chetan is Anek. Please follow these arguments. I went to Pune ashram and there was one boy coming. He's running the Brahmacharya course. I said, what you do? Well, I had studied Nyaya and coming. So 1 year he studied Nyaya from some teacher who only teaches in Sanskrit. I said, you have the recording, let me hear it. He said, yeah, I have the recording. He's a Maharashtrian. Marathi person was there. I thought he must be taught in Marathi. I said, no, but I like to listen what he taught, how he taught you. Then I said, okay, leave it, don't give me the recording because I can't get Marathi totally. Little only I know. He said, no, but he taught in Sanskrit. So I said, then you give me on the recording. Let me hear what he says. He got it. I love hearing all this. What is the argument used? And he used Advait Makarand was a text. So there we were taking all philosophies. So he used to answer in between. So then I got it that he knows something about Nyaya, something about this. Then I asked him, good boy. He heard everything. So now the Sankhya, now you got the point. Nirvisheshe Bhedakuta, on this point they are bold. Now Sankhya said, see, my problem is, if I take that there are many Purush. And because Prakriti is different than the Purush. Now these are not problem. If Prakriti and the Purush are different, then the Anantata, again the Nirvisheshta of the Purush won't be there. Purush won't be Anand. Vibhutva of the Purush won't be there. Because already it is finite, where Prakriti is there, Purush is not there. And the Mukti is dissociation of the Purush with the Prakriti. So because there are many Purush, so one Purush is liberated, other is not liberated. Vedanta says, see, please correct yourself. First thing Purush we have to accept is Vidhu, Nirvishesh and only one. Well, then how will you think about the Bandhan and Mukti? He said, I am telling you, no. If one Purush is there, there is no possibility of Prakriti exist. But because we see the world and because we see the delusion in the human being, therefore we have to postulate that this is called Maya. Maya is one with the Brahman also, not Brahman with the Brahman also. And that Maya, it is not identified with the Purush, it is identified with the Antakaran. That Purush is identified with aspect of Maya called Antakaran and thinks himself as a Jiva. So I am not going to liberate the Purush by dissociating the Purush and the Maya. I am going to tell that this identified Purush with the cause, with the effect of Maya called Antakaran, this identification is false only. So he is already mukt. So this is how the thoughts of development go on. And because all have to say different things about the Veda, about the Atma, and therefore there is a subject why we should discuss about the Brahmatva of the Atma. So it's not that we don't know about Atma. We know it not very well. See here, see the 41st page. Dehmatram chaitanya vishishtam atma iti prakrita jana. Indriyani ev chaitanya anyat iti apare. Mana iti anye. He is now putting it different people. Vigyan matram kshanikam iti eke. You are seeing that? Page 42. Shunyam iti apare. Everybody is saying Atma. Asti deha vyatirikta samsari karta bhokta iti apare. भोक्ता इति केवले न करता. देखो प्रकृति ये सांख्य है. अस्ति तद व्यतिरिक्त ईश्वर सर्वज्ञ सर्वशक्ति, तो कोई न्याय आ गया। There is आत्मा इज डिफरेंट, ईश्वर इज डिफरेंट ना, ये देखो यहाँ गया। हाँ, आत्मा सा भोक्तु इति अपरे एवं बहवः विप्रतिपन्ना युक्ति वाक्य तद आभास समाश्रय संतः। And therefore, I think I must have made one line. तत्र अविचार्य यत् किंचित प्रतिपद्यमान निश्रेयसात् प्रतिहन्यतान अनर्थ चेयात्। बोले they are going to some wrong conclusions they are taking, and because they are taking wrong conclusion, last line, तस्मात् ब्रह्म जिज्ञास्य उपन्यास मुखेन वेदांत वाक्य मीमांसा तद अविरोधी तर्क उपकरणा निश्रेयस प्रयोजना प्रस्तूयते। And therefore I am saying inquiry is required to clear the doubts, not about the unknown Brahman and not totally known Brahman. We are knowing it wrongly. Something is there, I am knowing it wrongly. And therefore, this is called apad gyan. Unclear knowledge about Brahman is there. To convert the unclear knowledge into clear knowledge, we are now going to know about the Brahma Lakshanam. Okay, this is called Brahma Lakshanam. This is how they develop. See, the Sangati is there. First was Jigyasa. So, Brahma Jnanaya Vedanta Vichar Kartabhya. This was the main thing. Don't be jealous. Brahma Jnanaya Atmanah Brahma Pratipadyam. So, for the knowledge of the Brahma, for the removal of the samsara, knowledge of the Brahman, Vedant Vichar should be done. This was the first sutra. Now, second sutra is the Lakshan of the Brahma. Lakshan of the Brahma. And Lakshan of the Brahma, you know very well, hundreds of times you have heard, Lakshan is of two types. Swarup Lakshan is there, Tatastha Lakshan is there. Swarup Lakshan is there. What is Swarup Lakshan? Where object is defined by its intrinsic quality, which cannot be separated from the object. And Tatastha Lakshan is not. Object is defined through incidental quality. Incidental feature which can be separated from that object which you are defining. That who is in yellow clothes is Brahmachari. So this is not the Swarup Lakshan, because the yellow cloth can be separated. Oh, okay. One who is shaven head is a Brahmachari. So, like example has been given here. Bole Prakrishta Prakasha Chandra. Bole, what is that Chandrama? How do you find Chandrama? Bole, one who is luminous object, that is called Chandrama. Brightest luminary, it is called Chandrama. This is Swarup Lakshan is there. Because you are telling about the intrinsic quality of the moon. Moon is luminous. Don't go the light of the moon is thunder, not a topic here. Just we are talking about luminosity. That which is luminous in the sky, that is called Chandrama. So this is Swarup Lakshan. You are defining the thing by its own Lakshan. You have heard this, but try to get new points about what you have known also. You can get more information about that. Every day something new you should learn. Okay. Sugar is sweet is the Swarup Lakshan. Because sweetness and sugarness cannot be differentiated. You cannot take out sweetness and say sugar is there, this is not sweet, this sugar is there. So when you cannot take the characteristic from the object, that is called the Swarup Lakshan. When you cannot take the through which you are defining, was it that dark, I always say the dark one is Ram. So darkness cannot be taken out from Ram. Darkness cannot be taken out. So his Swarup Lakshan is there. But when you define an object through something else other than itself, that is called Tatastha Lakshan. So object is defined through an incidental feature. not its intrinsic feature. When you define through intrinsic feature, which is non-separable from the object, that is called tatastha lakshan. So how will you define in Sanskrit? Swarupam sat vyavartakam swarup lakshanam. Huh? Because lakshan, what is lakshan? Vyavartakam. That which separates one from other. That is called lakshan. I say, who is the singer among you? Bole, that dark girl is the singer. So she is vyavartakam. Lakshan always separates. So one definition of lakshan is vyavartakam, lakshanatvam. But swarupam sat vyavartakam. Not leaving, I'm defining through the thing which cannot leave that. That is called swarupam sat vyavartakam iti swarup lakshanam. Okay. Supposing I say somebody's house is there. Devdattam graham. Very classical example is Kakvat graham Devdattam graham. Which is the house of Devdatta, on which crow is sitting. That house on which crow is sitting, Kakvat graham, that crow can go away also. Not that that crow will be sitting all the time. Crow is not an intrinsic part of the house. Crow is not an intrinsic part of the house. So, how will you now say Kadachitkam Sat Vyavartakam Tatastha Lakshana? Kadachitkam Sat Vyavartakam Swarup Lakshanam. It has Kadachit. Kadachit means Kadachit Bhavati, Kadachit na Bhavati. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. Sometimes Kadachitkam Sat Vyavartakam Lakshanam Tatastha Lakshanam. So sometimes this is crow is there, sometimes crow flew away. A crow flew away doesn't mean that house also flew away. House has no relation with the crow. Crow just comes in the house. That is called Kadachitkam Sat Vyavartakam Lakshanam Tatastha Lakshanam. Okay. Don't forget this. Make one copy of the terminologies and definitions. You should be able to understand in Sanskrit also, in English also. What I said in English, incidental. Incidental. You are defining something to its incidental characteristic. The one with the yellow sari is Radha. It doesn't mean that she has to put yellow sari only. She can be blue sari tomorrow. You cannot see a blue she puts on, then she is not Radha. So it is you are defining through something that is incidental. That is not the only one. That is called Tatastha Lakshan. Now this second sutra which is there, it is not telling the Swarup Lakshan of the Brahman, it is telling the Tatastha Lakshan of the Brahman. What? Jagat Karana Brahma. Why? Srishtehe Purvam Jagat Nasti. Srishtehe Paschat Jagat Nasti. Ataha, there is a Kadachitkam in the Jagat. Incidentally, Jagat is there. Incidentally, it may not be there. So, Jagat is the incidental. The causation in the Brahman is incidental and not intrinsic. The Brahman being the cause of the world is not intrinsic. It is incidental. It so happened that Brahman, Jagat has come. But Jagat is not there also. If the Pralaya is there, Jagat is not there. And also if the knowledge is there and somebody says there is nothing called world also. So, for the Jnani, Jagat is not there. And because Jagat is not there, then you cannot say also Brahman is the cause of the Jagat. And therefore the second Lakshan is presenting the Tatastha Jagat, Tatastha Lakshan of the Brahma, not Jagat. Tatastha Lakshan of the Brahma. Is it clear? Now I am coming to the general meaning of this is the introduction. What is the general meaning of the Janmadyasya Yataha? So you have to add two more words. Adhyahar. What adhyah? Janmadyasya yataha tad brahma bhavati. Why doesn't Vyasacharya write all these things? My hard work. No, he already had presupposed that you are wise and intelligent enough. You know so much of Sanskrit. Sutra has to be very condensed. Alpaksharam asandigdam. It has to be minimum word. And therefore he didn't write it. Janmadyasya yataha tad brahma bhavati. You can put this in a bracket. Tad brahma bhavati. Like tato brahma jigyasa kartavya. We had done adhyahar. So in sutra you have to add certain things. Acha, from which the origin of the world takes place is Brahma. Now tomorrow we will go in more details of this sutra. Very beautiful points are there. This is called, first was Jigyasa Adhikaran, and this is called Janmadi Adhikaran. Janmadi Adhikaran. So we'll see it tomorrow. When you read the Bhashya, you will know little from some point. But the day should come where you should read and you should get 90%. And more you read, supposing I read first time, you will know 20%. Again you read, you will know 30%. So this habit of doing Parayan of the Bhashya, Brahma Sutra Parayan, Gita Parayan and Upanishad Parayan. This Bhashya Parayan should be done by the sannyasis. If you go in a Kailas ashram and those ashrams, very traditional ashrams in Rishikesh, they have daily Parayan. They sit together and they have regular Parayan. Like you have Ramayana Parayan, no? In the temple. So they have Bhashya Parayan. But for your own sadhana, you have to make yourself more firm, more Gyan Nishtha, committed to the knowledge, committed to the truth only. Okay. So for Satya Nishtha, Bhashya is must. For Grahastha, Bhashya is not must. Without Bhashya also you can study. But for a Brahmachari, for a Swami, without Bhashya, Nishtha won't come. Okay. We will see more. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om.